So, I've got a pretty decent whiskey collection. Now, I'm not saying it's as big as some folks here in Kentucky, but I've got a few bottles worth showing off. Before I go adding more to the shelf, I need to finish off some of the ones I already have. You know, my friend and Bourbon Hall of Famer, Freddie Johnson, always says bourbon is more than just a drink. It's about the stories we create while sharing it with others. Each episode of Last Pour is my way of honoring that idea by sharing the stories behind the bottles as I enjoy their very last pour. And today's guest of honor breaks my heart a little bit. I hate to see this bottle go, but it is Palindrome from Spirits of French Lick. What's special about this bottle is it is an Apple Brandy and it's finished in Islay Scotch barrels. So if you know anything about Scotch, you know the real peaty Scotches are like from Islay. Those are my favorite Scotches. I am a bourbon guy, but I do love a very peated Scotch. So what Spirits of French Lick did, my buddy Alan, when he was there at Spirits of French Lick, he took some of his Apple Brandy that was finished, that was aged, and then he finished it in the Islay Scotch barrels. Man, I hate to see this go. My very last pour. I'm so sad. I'm actually not sure if they have any more or not. I'll have to check and see. But this bottle comes in at a whopping 137.7 proof, which I have a funny story about that I'll tell you later. Let's dive into this. So sad. There it is. Whoa. Right off the nose. Because it's an apple brandy, it's very, very fruity, but it's very smoky because of the Scotch barrel. Oh man. Right on the palate, the first thing you get is that Islay peated smoke. So if you're not a fan of peated Scotches, you definitely won't like this. But oh man, this is beautiful. This is so beautiful. The finish is super, super long, obviously because it's finished in peated Scotch barrel, but it's super long. One of the things that I love about my buddy Alan and what he was doing at Spirits of French Lick, and now he's at another distillery, but he always would push the envelope on flavors and different techniques. I know he had at one point he had another one aged in a mezcal barrel, so he was always pushing boundaries. But man, this is dead on. This is so good. So, cheers. So, a couple of quick stories I want to share about this bottle. One of the main reasons this bottle is so special to me is because it is so freaking good. Like, I literally can't say enough how good this is. But one of the cool stories about this bottle is I first found out about it when my now son-in-law, Eric, he wasn't my son-in-law at the time. He was on the path to become my son-in-law. But he and I took a trip up to Indiana to French Lick, Spirits of French Lick, one day to help my buddy Alan taste through some barrels. Now, Alan called me and said, hey, why don't you come up and help me taste through some barrels. I want to taste through barrels to pick out candidates for single barrel. So I called Eric, my son-in-law, and I said, hey, let's go up there and let's taste through some barrels. I was thinking we were going to get up there and there was going to be 5 or 6 barrels. No, I got up there and there were probably 25 barrels or 30 barrels that we tasted through. It was such a fun day. However, Eric got in trouble that night because we were supposed to be back home by like 3 o'clock that day, so him and my daughter, his now wife, could go do some stuff. Well, right about 3 o'clock is when we got through tasting these barrels, and it's a 2-hour drive from there to my house. So we had just tasted through 25 or 30 barrels. So neither one of us were in the state to really drive. So we had to fill ourselves full of food and anything we could do to like become drivable, which we did sit in the car for probably a couple of hours. We got back really late. He got in a lot of trouble, and that's still one of my favorite stories. So here's to Eric. The other story that I think is pretty funny is I brought this home. As soon as I brought this bottle home, my wife, who at the time was just getting into bourbons and whiskeys, and so I told her, I said, you've got to try this. You're going to love it. It's fruity. She's not a Scotch person, but I said, I think you're going to like this because the fruit of this, by mid-palate, the fruit kind of overpowers the peatiness. So I said, you're going to love it. So I poured her a little pour, and she sniffed it, and she said, what's the proof on this? And at the time, I had completely forgotten that it was 137. So I said, I don't know, it's probably 90. I mean, that's what his Apple Brandy is. It's like 90 proof, so it's 90. So she sniffs it, she takes a big gulp, and then she almost chokes. And she said, this is not 90 proof. And so I went over to the bottle and I said, oh yeah, my bad, sorry. It's 137.7. And so from that moment on, she still to this day does not trust me when I tell her the proof on a bottle. And so there you have it. This bottle is gone for me now. I'm so sad, terribly sad. It is a great product. If you tried it, I hope you liked it. And if you haven't had the chance to try it, maybe they have more. I'm not sure. I'm going to check after I get through doing this. So here's a toast to great spirits, great friends, great memories, and for those times that you tell your loved one that a proof is significantly lower than what it really is. That's a mistake that we all make. So here's to that. Cheers, everybody. That's it for Last Pour. Whether it's your first favorite or your latest discovery, make sure you enjoy it while it lasts. See you next time.